At the end of May 2023, our little family packed up and moved a whopping 3 miles away from our previous home, but the difference in scenery made it feel like we had traveled a world away. As someone who has forever been obsessed with interior design, I saw a huge opportunity in this new property to explore exterior design, and it's been a wild ride. Why not? And if it is, if it does work, it'll be really pretty and I'll hang it somewhere and be happy about it. So I think I'm going to do this now until the vessel is done heating up, and then we'll work on the umbrella. I'll spare you the nasty visuals of all the sweat, the bloody scrapes, the bug bites, and the surprise sunburns I endured, but believe me, there were many. So first and foremost, I had to learn a lot of information because I was starting at ground zero as a gardener. My history with plants and landscaping pretty much boils down to watering stuff and mowing. Any houseplants I've ever owned have really been lucky if they survived. I started off by researching about the plant hardiness zone that I live in, which is the United States Department of Agriculture's guide to what will survive where and when. At the time that I was doing all of my preliminary research, the USDA classified my area as being a part of Zone 8A, but now, a year later, we've become Zone 8B. Thankfully, that doesn't change a whole lot, so most of the information I initially picked up still applies. The growing season here is from April 2nd to November 9th, and the climate is described as a subtropical moist forest. January is typically the coldest month, and October is the driest. My area gets a lot of rainfall, but it's well distributed over the course of the year. Plants that thrive in Zone 8 love mild winters and long, hot summers. They have a wide range of moisture and sunlight requirements. As far as vegetables go, they're usually grown 3 times per year. The heat-tolerant vegetables include bolt-resistant lettuce varieties, cantaloupe, field peas, hot peppers, okra, tomatoes, and watermelon. Cool weather plants include spinach, lettuce, and peas. A number of different fruit trees can thrive in the area. I haven't gotten started up this avenue at all yet, but it does include things like bananas, apples, apricots, clementines, tangerines, so many things that I'll be interested in the future when I get around to it. In the meantime, the herbs here are mainly native to Mediterranean areas and are often drought resistant. So there are a lot of opportunities when it comes to herbs, not to mention the fact that you can grow a lot of them inside if you wanted to. Lastly, the most important thing I learned about actual flowers is that you really need to help provide shade and water on the days where things are just so incredibly hot over the summer. Okay, so let's get into what it took to go from something like this here to all of this nice stuff here. Early on, I created a little compost corner to save money in the future and make good use of the leaves, grass clippings, pine straw, and failed planting attempts that I had. One of these failures came to my attention early on in my research when I realized that the oleander I had purchased and planted on a whim some months before was terminally ill and highly poisonous. Like seriously, poisonous. To dogs, humans, just about every living thing. Why can you buy this at Home Depot? Why is there no large warning sign on the tag? These are questions I'll be asking on my deathbed, which is thankfully still forthcoming as I accidentally managed not to kill myself with it. Ultimately, I wasted $60 or so and risked my family's lives, but what's another day as a beginner gardener? With the danger neutralized, I was able to shift my attention to beautifying. The next thing that absolutely had to go was this gigantic drain extender that ran along the fence line and down to the street. As it turns out, basic things like lot grade and environmental engineering regarding water runoff aren't often considered by builders, and this home is no exception. It was built on a lot that's fairly steep from back to front, which has led to racking, slump, and a menacing, buckling retaining wall. Thankfully, these areas have been reinforced by previous homeowners, but it's still important to direct water away from the problem areas to avoid future unraveling of the issues. While the squiggly black tube of incredible length handles water diversion from the gutters very well, it's just plain ugly. I went through a number of ideas for dealing with it, most of which had to be tossed due to the fact that there's an unbelievable number of bricks and enormous boulders just buried underground along the length of the fence. It's apparently also not uncommon for builders to bury extraneous materials and unused supplies in the ground outside of the build site, as it can save them money and time to avoid hauling away or properly disposing of them. Overall, it's amazing what you might find digging in your own yard. Doing all this work outside with my partners in crime was drawing attention to the fact that they really needed a way to come and go, to access shade and water, and to romp around and poo whenever they pleased. So I took a minor detour in early February to make that a reality for them. I purchased a prefab doggy door from a pet supply store, along with the jigsaw I've always wanted and some wood to make some steps. After scanning the walls for studs, electrical wiring, metal plates, and other obstructions, I cut my house, which was absolutely thrilling. It wasn't the easiest project, but getting to see the dogs sit on the stairs and just kind of enjoy themselves and have the freedom to come and go as they please and sit out there at night and guard everything and then get back up to their usual shenanigans during the day made it totally worth it. And with that out of the way, we were back to fixing that ugly drain pipe. So with Supervisor Cuddy on the scene, I continued cleaning along the fence line, which had collected cartloads of debris that had gotten stuck beneath the gigantic tube. Did I just say debris? Anyway, initially I was planning on digging a trench to submerge and hide the tube, but in the process of clearing away all the debris, I realized that that was going to be impossible, thanks not only to the rocks and bricks buried here, but also to the rebar that had been installed to keep the retaining wall from toppling onto the driveway. I found Cuddy taking a break and clearly using his noggin to think the problem over, when he suddenly had a light bulb idea. He thought it over again and decided he was quite pleased with the idea. Decided he would share it with me. Thanks, Cud. So we got us a rain barrel, which required a little bit of extra work to get installed. Okay, so it's 8 quadrillion degrees out and it's only April 7th. Welcome to the South. We just went inside for a little while to get away from the sun. I had to change my shirt because my back is so burnt that it hurts. So not sure if this native sunscreen is working or not, but I've got both the doggies out here now. And while I was inside, we went ahead and modified the rain barrel a little bit. What I did, you can kind of see here, this is a mesh that I purchased for keeping bugs, mosquitoes, gnats, all kinds of stuff out of your face. So it is the perfect barrier to make sure that nothing decides to make a home in my rain barrel, which would suck. Ooh. Okay, so now what I have to do is figure out how to position this beneath the gutter. I'm gonna have to cut the gutter. Okay, so I got my handsaw and my jigsaw, and we're gonna just see what we can do. We got a great little boy right there. Excellent girl up there. Downspout over here. Okay, so what I tried to do is encourage the water to come out more on the left corner, I guess. It's not a beautiful job, but I think it'll work, and it is supposed to rain the next couple days, so we'll be able to test it out. The instructions did say that your downspout should be like 2 inches above the barrel, which obviously is a bit taller than that. So I want to see how it works out. And I also broke this. This used to be a vent that allowed air to come out of where they used to have the washer dryer in the kitchen area. So I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to do something about that. So there we had our first preparatory steps in this exterior design adventure. In case you were wondering, a rain barrel collecting water from half your roof will fill up way too fast when it actually rains. So I did end up installing a very flat soaker hose to allow for faster draining when needed. It's hardly visible, and I'm very happy with the difference from the previous setup, on top of which I can save water in the rain barrel to use for my plants when we're going through a dry spell. There is so much more to come, so stick around for part 2, where we'll continue working towards the Oasis landscape vision.